to me, or that's the message I sent. And go back. Yeah, this is the recorded stuff. If I click me, what does that happen? Nope. I click you. I can message you or talk live, but that's about it. What is it? Save replay. Hide me from audience. We don't want that. That's weird. I don't know. I'm gonna have to mess around with it. But you were fine just before this, and then when I opened up the chat, it disappeared. Like it went like quiet. Well, we know the audio works. What if I pass through all of this? Okay, so that's done. Leave quietly. Go back.
Okay, you're on now.
Hear me.
You're on now.
Leave quietly. I can hear myself.
Okay, so I'm going to get off of YouTube and hopefully it'll still work. I just won't be able to chat with you. Okay, so I'm going to get off. Yeah, I just won't be able to chat with you unless you somehow can get your voice on there. But I'm going to just go ahead and go. I was going to hopefully allow you to ask questions. But since I won't have any way for that to happen, let's see. I guess I'll just start because it seems like you could hear me. Okay. So, I'll start from the beginning. The most easiest way to start from the beginning is to introduce my human form and this earth consciousness to everyone. So, my name is Regina Smith. I live here in Texas. I was born and raised in Texas. Currently, I live in Austin, Texas. So, I was in duality, spiritual amnesia. So when I incarnated into this specific body, I was not aware or awakened. It wasn't till much later in my life that I had awakened, but during my childhood, I had these like epiphanies that would occur where my soul would float out of my body, and I would have this overwhelming question, and I would ask like my soul, my internal self, this question. I would ask, why am I here? And it was just like, like, who am I? Why am I here? And it was just something I had experienced, but I had no tangible explanation for what was going on. Sitting in my car, I'm going to roll my windows up. Okay. That's good. Okay, so I'll continue the story. I still remember when I had my awakening, what I was doing, what was happening. I was sitting down doing laundry, and I was probably about 22 years old, around there. I was doing laundry, and then all of a sudden I felt something being removed from the top of my head energetically, and I could just feel it being removed. And when it was removed, I had an extreme amount of downpour data, information, memories, ingesting into my body, downloading. It was an image after an image after an image of lifetimes, being on my star, just my whole soul's information. And right previously before that, I had sort of like this calling out. I had believed in God and I was religious. I went to church. In fact, I was in choir. And at the time of my awakening, I was attending church, doing the whole choir thing. And so for me, instantly, what happened when these images and memories and emotions and everything came pouring in, I instantly was like, oh my God, how could I forget this? It's like my amnesia snapped and I came out of my amnesia and instantly knew who I was, why I was here on this planet. A lifelong question that I had my subconscious had, wanted to know. And throughout my childhood, there was signs. In school, I would draw the flower of life as a child, not even knowing what it was. And so instinctively, this lifetime was the lifetime that I would have my awakening. And so it did occur. But it wasn't by chance, my awakening. It was designed and orchestrated this way, pre-planned. And so when I had my awakening, I had to go and learn basically about all of these. I wanted proof, tangible evidence of what I was seeing, and I basically wanted to confirm everything. So without even really searching or looking, I would just, inside of me, desire the answer to a question, and it would come upon me in its own divine timing. It would show itself and reveal itself to me, and it would give me the answers to the memory that I had unlocked and downloaded and ingested and internalized. And it was simple things like, one image I really wanted to know is I had a memory of drawing a flower of life and everything that went with that experience. And I actually discovered my own artwork online instantly. It just like came to me in this video that I had shared to Orion, that we had watched, and about the pyramid in Abydos, Egypt. So there was lots of memories, and I got my evidence, my proof. I got names, dates, pictures, everything that I wanted, even evidence of, okay, did this really happen? And yes, it really happened. And so I realized I was in very specific key timelines of Earth's history, of eras that were significant. And so I realized also in that interface of awakening was why things were happening to me and occurring to me the way they were. And instantly I shifted from internal dialogue to this imaginary being in the sky that us Earth humans had called God. And it switched to basically the hologram around us, this matrix, provided me everything that I was seeking, which is what happens when you have your first awakening. Everything is provided to you. You have to relax and allow and let it come into your environment and into your space. And when I first awakened, I went through a lot because I had a lot of karmic debt. And to realize and connect the dots, it put me at ease and put me at peace, but it also was traumatic to know that I was in such a separation of duality on this planet that I was able to accumulate all of this debt, even though I had previously ascended into the fourth dimension and to what they say Christ consciousness, source, oneness. It was a dimensional shift of my entire being, which I will explain that experience to everyone later. However, I'll continue. So when I had my awakening, I had a lot of memories and everything to discover, which I did. So after I basically became so confident in my memories and who I was and what I knew to be my truth, I developed what humans would call superpowers, extreme superpowers that could frighten people and did frighten people. And I actually made myself a target, which nothing that targeted me was able to affect me in any way, because I was just so stable and had so much clarity and so much calmness and peace within myself that I did not react to things. However, I did make myself a target because I put myself out there, and I learned a valuable lesson actually, doing that, because I was trying to help people and it actually harmed them, which it was their free will to partake in their awakening. I didn't force this on them, but hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that. People online would just say something and I would comment directly to them exactly what they were thinking, feeling, everything. For what? I don't know. I don't know if I was trying to prove myself to the world or show the world my gift. But sometimes people would be grateful and thank me. Some people, their eyes would just, like, in person, they would just get so large and like freak out because I knew their entire, like, everything about them. So all of their karmic debt, everything like that they would hide behind that mask of that ego, of their persona, and what they projected to the world, I could see through it. I could hear their thoughts. I could look at pictures and see who took the picture in my mind, what they were doing when they took the picture, how they were feeling, what they were thinking, what their surroundings were, even up until about 10 to 15 minutes after the picture was taken. Songs, I could instantly know what that person was thinking and feeling when they created the songs I was just hear. I like knew how they were created, and it was just like I was seeing in real time everything around me, all of the existence of the quote unquote past and future. It was all present in my awareness in that now moment. And so everything was interconnected, and I basically, I felt like I was helping a lot of people. I still do feel that way. However, a lot of the people, this matrix has a way of sucking you into a pit of self-pity and chaos and stress. So it really, honestly, I'm not sure if it helped them at all. My intention was to help propel them into advancing their soul so they can have the answers to their information, so they would know why things were happening to them the way they were. I was doing too much. I was putting myself out there, and I shouldn't have done that. But I think I just wanted to prove to the world what reality was. And I think showing them that I could hear their thoughts and know exactly all of their fucked up evil shit inside of themselves that would somehow stop them from doing evil or stop them from like continuing to do the things. But no, these people would look at me like I was crazy and then continue to do the same thing that they were doing and think, well, like no one else has said that to me. She's the only one that said that to me. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to pretend like this is not a reality. Like someone doesn't actually know my inner soul and know what I'm hiding. And it's just so, there have been some people who like admitted it was like, oh my God, you're so right. That freaks me out. But there has been some people who like confirmed it, but there was many who wouldn't. Would you admit to raping children if I was telling you, hey, I know you're raping children, that one, that, like I would say all the specifics about the entire crime, the act of crime. And I would tell them, and they would be so shocked and look at me, and you would be surprised how many women on this earth assist males into pedophilia, and it's disgusting. But when I had my awakening, it was a dual sharpened edged sword, because at one hand I had all the information and knowledge, but on the other hand I had to see everyone's evilness inside of them, their dark capacity to be so separated from one another that they, excuse me, I'm getting a little bit worked up. Let me take a drink of water and we'll pause. Okay, thank you for your patience. So let me continue. So people were so distanced from reality, and they are separated from the oneness that we are all connected. So what you do to me, you're doing to yourself. What I do to you, I'm doing to myself. So even though I'm in this body, you're in that body, and you're there, I'm here, we are connected through energetic grid, a unity consciousness on this planet. So therefore, your information is my information is yours, in regarding to, I can obtain your information, you can obtain my information, and we can share that because we're connected energetically. So moving on, I got off in a tangent about my awakening, but I'll continue. So the things that I discovered when I had awakened was that I was from a star right outside of Earth. I used to stare at Earth all the time and wonder what it was. All the time. I had no experience of Earth. I just knew it was this big, huge blue and green planet. It was primarily blue and white from clouds. It was the only light in space that we saw on my star, besides our star being a light. But when you look out into space, everything's very far away from each other. So when we're on Earth and we're looking at stars, the stars seem so close to one another, but in reality, in space, that's far from truth. So I could see a star, but it'd be far away. It'd be like barely a little glimpse of like a light. But the only light in space was Earth. I never saw a moon. I never saw a sun at all. I didn't see planets rotating. Of course, other planets would be much further away, of course, in the galaxy, but I didn't see anything moving. Everything was fixated in its place. And Earth is round when you're viewing it from outside of Earth. And so this is of my remembrance, on my star, when I was created, I separated from Source, which was this invisible cloud, like just lingering in space. I'm not even sure if you'd be able to see it, but the best way to describe it, it's all of everything, but it's it has no consciousness, no feelings, no memories. So when I was a part of it, I was just part of the whole. There's no awareness or anything, and I fell from it like a drop. And when I did, I fell into a pool of like star liquid nectar on my star. And then I rose up and I was created into an individual consciousness, and sparks ignited from my body, from all the colors of the rainbow. And I was the only one we were all created the same way, but my star family's sparks were blue. Mine were the only one that were rainbow. So it was like a spectacle. It was like quite a sight for them to see me, with all of my colors igniting. And it's just when you first rise up out of the pool, the sparks fly. And then that's kind of it. And then you glide and you go across the star and you get to know people and this and that. I guess I was so different. No one had anything to do with me on my star. I don't know if it was the outcast, but I was definitely the youngest, and I probably I just wasn't one of them. And so to say, I wasn't one of them, even though I was just, what it was is I was higher than them dimensionally, and there just wasn't that connection. I don't know how to explain it, but on my star, we used to go into these long hibernations, but you're not sleeping. We never slept, or ate. We had bodies, but we didn't have organs. We didn't have lungs to breathe. So we would just be still for very long periods of time. And when that occurred, I would just stare at Earth. And then other times would be just zipping around. And the beings on my star, they did have sex with one another. They would wrap their tails, like their little energetic tails, at the bottom. Like, we're all standing, we're upright position, no one lays down or sits, so they're wrapping their tail, and that's how they're having sex. I was so young, in my experience, I didn't know what they were doing in that moment, so I was just observing them while everybody else gave them quote unquote privacy. But I was young, I didn't know what that was. I had no clue. In fact, when I left my star, I was still a virgin. And how I left my star was, this spaceship came to my star, and my elder aborted this spaceship, and it's small, like a scout ship. It's small, enough for a few people. He boards the spaceship and he's talking to them, and we are connected to one another. So I knew what he was saying and what was happening in the ship, even though I was still on my star. And the ship did not land on our star. It just kind of hovered above our star. And they basically were asking questions. They were asking who's unique, who's royalty. And my elder was like, we're all equal. No one's above each other. And they're like, well, who's the most different, the most unique, who's not like the rest? And so he explains to him me, and they're wanting to know how and why. And he's just talking about my creation and the colors. So they pull down this, in school, when the teacher would pull down this roll thing that would unroll, and it would have a map or something. It was like that. And they pulled it down and it unrolled, and it had bars, one on top of each other, of the colors, just colors, like a graph. And they're like, point to which color that you saw. And he's like, all of them. And so they're like, is she royalty? What is it? And then he told them, she is whatever she wants to be, meaning he was giving me the authority, to speak upon what title I would like to be called by to these extraterrestrial beings in a spaceship. And so then they began to tell him that there's imminent danger to the star and that it was unavoidable, that they had traveled into a future, my future, our future, to pre-warn us before it occurred. There was nothing they could do, the only thing they could do was warn us, and facilitate our exit by allowing us to enter their mothership. When my elder left the spaceship, he went off onto the star and everybody followed him. I did not follow him. I was very young, and so I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew that there's this weird thing right next to me, and I had seen spaceships before periodically, like fighting each other in space and blowing each other up, but I had never seen one up close like that. And so I stayed behind to view the ship. I was just curious about it. Next thing I know, the ship leaves, and then I'm kind of like, okay, my focus is back to what's going on my star. And so I go to the crowd, like everyone's gathered around, and I only hear the tail end of what's going on. And all I know is that we're leaving. For what? Why? I don't know. So all of a sudden, and this is as soon as I get there, everyone's like rushing off, and they glide off, and they leave the star. They fly away from the star. And it's me and my elder, and we're on the star, and I'm just kind of like, nothing is serious to me. I'm not taking anything serious. I'm just in this like innocent child phase where like the whole world around me is being destroyed, but I'm not aware of, and I can't comprehend, like I don't have that reasoning to understand. And so my elder of our star family puts his arm around my shoulder, and he's telling me about my future and things that I'm going to be doing. And he tells me he's proud of me and what I'm going to do. And he says that I may never come back to my star ever again. And I was so innocent that I really didn't even ask questions. I just accepted it for face value. And he's like, you gotta leave, So I'm like, take my sweet time, by the way. I'm like flying off barely, and I'm like looking back at the star, and I get a certain distance, and then the star explodes. There's this huge like radioactive wave, kind of like the atomic bomb, nuclear bomb here on Earth. It was sort of like that. It's called a supernova. So my star exploded, and I was within the impact, obviously. And so when I finally got to the mothership, the rest of my star family, they had already entered, and I never met or connected with them after that. Once they left the star, that was it. I never saw any of my star family after that, besides like off in the distance on the spaceship. And I never like actually went up to them and had any connections after that. I know what happened to them and everything because I saw it. It's just for some reason, because I was so like special to these beings on the mothership, I was separated. So when I went on to the spaceship, I basically, first time in my experience, went unconscious. And so what that meant was the explosion of the star, basically like, once I got on the star, I kind of like just went unconscious. And then while I was unconscious, some of the beings on the spaceship went and collected the star debris from my star, specifically a heart shard, the star's heart, and it was like a shard, like a bit. They found bits of it, it's emerald. It was emerald, and they molecularly augmented it onto a golden cup, which I call the Holy Grail, and then also within me. So it connected me to the cup energetically, because it's just really hard to explain. It's a bunch of science things, but so, which is also, it's a very dangerous like procedure, because it's an energetic, like you're messing with energies, and like very advanced energies of like a star and a 15th and a half dimensional being, me. Like you have to be really skilled, and it was like a once in a lifetime experience for that person doing it as well, because that experience doesn't occur like that was just like once in a ever experience. So when I did wake up, I was allowed to roam the ship freely, but I went through a series of experiments so to say. They were curious and didn't have any information really about me. Like they knew some stuff, but they were really curious about doing experiments on me. My being, like, how I would appear was I was tall, blue. I kind of look like see-through, transparent, tall, blue. I had a human, like, torso appearance, but super tall, female. See-through, transparent, but pure electric, and not even just electric, but like star electricity. And so one of the experiments they had me doing was touching water. When I was touching water, it hurt severely. That was the first time I had ever felt pain. The only time sparks, like, ignited. So when I touched the water, like, electricity ignited, it was like lightning. It hurt so bad, and I didn't speak. I was not vocal, but I did, like, scream and, like, make noises from the pain. So my voice was like electricity. I mourned my star. I like the destruction of it. The whole time I cried, and I would have, like, liquid electric tears that would, when it dropped onto surfaces, would eat through surfaces. It was new experiences for me. I didn't quite understand what was going on. Everything was just so confusing, but I wanted to come to Earth. They were offering me two options. They could drop me off somewhere, wherever I chose, like in space somewhere. And of course, I don't know where I'm going to go, because the star is my only experience. I didn't know anything about anything. Like, obviously I chose the second option, which was to come to Earth, join their mission, join their plan, and just basically fall in line and join. So I did. During that, there were several things. The body I'm incarnated into now was actually designed on a computer before I even knew what Earth was or humanity. I remember just sitting in the room. They had all these computers, and they're just asking me, like, how do I want to look? My nose, my mouth. And I'm just like, I don't know, you pick. And I remember the guy was, like, looking at me, and, like, everything that I looked like, he was saying the opposite. So he's like, well, let's make your lips smaller. Like, just like everything. It was like he wanted me to look the opposite of myself. I got upset. I'm not going to lie. And I stood up and I left. So he basically had full control over this body. So this body was designed on a computer. Yes, it's born on Earth. It came through the womb of my mother on Earth. But somehow these people in spaceships can actually design bodies on Earth before you even incarnate into it. And I don't know the specifics of that, but I do know that this man on the ship designed my body to his specific desires. Okay. And this guy was like a man whore. He loved women. So he designed me to be, like, I guess, the hottest woman for him. Not for, like, every man, but just for him, you know? And so I was naive. I didn't understand any of it. Like, I had no idea. Like, I was immersed and thrusted into a world, which I took it in speed and stride, and succeeded and excelled. And I've probably astounded so many different beings within this hologram because of my perseverance, just everything, my success. So they took me into this, like, auditorium type room. It had chairs and it was like a college, you're going to college classes, and you're sitting around this like projection screen, and it's got like a stage, and they're playing on this screen video of my most recent past life when I was a male in Germany, not this body, but the one before it. And they're showing me like my karmic debt, and I'm watching myself on screen doing things on this screen, which are very embarrassing. And at the time I was just like, I had no experience of Earth. I had no experience of it being a human or nothing. I kept asking, I was like, why would I do that? Why would I do that? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, it was just sad. And everybody there was crying. They're also sad, like for me and for Earth. And they're like crying. I was crying. I like was on the ground, like kneeling down on the ground crying. And for like a long time after that, I we just kept asking us like, man, why would I do that? Like, it really bothered me. Something I had never even done yet, it bothered me. And so I felt really embarrassed at first. Um, so anyways, I remember during that, like before they showed me this clip, everyone viewed it. It wasn't just me. It was like a whole room full of extraterrestrials of different species. So there's different species of extraterrestrials watching with me what I'm going to be doing on Earth before I even come to Earth. It's kind of like they judged me before it occurred. And so it's like, I can't even explain this in a way that would even make sense. But so basically, before in this meeting, before they showed video evidence of my atrocities on Earth, they played a live recording of Earth, and they do this before every meeting that they have in there. They played a live recording, and it was the inhabitants of Earth, and they're all screaming in pain, agony. It was terrifying. And everybody was like crying and holding hands. It was just like, remember when I heard the sound, I was like gripping the chair I was sitting in. It just was like, terrifying. And they said, we play this at every meeting so that we don't forget why we're doing this, why we're here, and the purpose of like this mission that we have that we're doing. And so this is something regular. They just like hear a human screaming on the spaceship. And even though you and I can't hear it, there are people on this planet right now by the thousands and probably millions screaming in agony and pain from being murdered, tortured, raped, abused, etc. And this all occurs at the same moment continuously. And so they were listening to this as a reminder of the severity of why they're there, and so that they never forget why they're here. And here I was watching a video of me adding on to that. So I was like, not only embarrassed because I didn't understand why, like I just had no connection or understanding, but I do now. So after my star family left the spaceship, it was like a beam of blue light, and they just floated. The beam like shot them directly into hollow Earth, which was like a major hole in Earth, and the beam just like sent them. And that's where they reside. I'm the only one of my star family that's on the surface of Earth. So I'm representing my star family here. So any accomplishments or success I have directly affects them and helps them at the same time. So believe it or not, every time I ascend, I'm initially recreating my star and possibly eventually they may be able to return. I'm not sure how that works. I just know that I directly affect the rebuilding emergence of my star with my ascensions. And so I'm kind of like holding the fort down for everybody here for my star. I hope you guys are hearing this, but if not, I will definitely upload it or something to my YouTube. It's a lot, y'all guys. My information is a lot. There's a lot. I'm not even sure if I can even tell you all, guys. Like tell you, and like it would take a long time. There's just a lot about me, but I'm starting from like the beginning, and I'll work you into it. It's a lot, and if you're listening, Orion, what I once told you, I said you're like kind of worried about like all the information I was telling you, and I was like, don't worry, it's nothing. I was like, I assure you, it's not even anything. What I told you is barely a fraction of it. It's like watching an ant slowly move on the ground. That's the information I had given you. And so to me, at least, it wasn't that impactful to damage you in any way. I've been very careful and cautious with what I say, how I say it, and the information that I tell you, because you're very fragile. Like I was telling you yesterday, Matrix Day, you're very fragile. And so I wanted to be very cautious with how I handled you, but I do understand and overstand exactly what you're going through. I went through it as well because I had to awaken out of my ego. I just didn't wake up and become the person I am now. I had to develop all of these skills and build everything like a foundation for myself to build upon. So let's go back to my story. So I went through like some training experiments. After my star family went to inner earth, it was my turn to go to earth. But before that, I want to explain to you guys that the Holy Grail, the Golden Cup, which has my heart's shard piece, like the heart's core, it's a shard molecularly augmented onto this golden cup. This golden cup has other shards of stars and planet, I believe just stars that have exploded, kind of like a damn scrapbook for bits of stars that have exploded. And I held it in my hand, and it has like this base receiver that it sits on. Humans can't touch it or hold it, but I could, obviously, no problem. And no questions asked. I just picked it right up, and everybody was like all like freaking out because here I am holding it. They're just like all freaking out. And then, leader of the GOFL, Galactic Federation of Life, of the GFOL, he was like, no, just let her hold it. It's okay. Like, because what are you going to do? I literally probably the most powerful being on the ship, including holding the most powerful object in probably the universe. And so I'm holding it, and I'm like, I instinctively touch a crystal, an emerald crystal on the golden cup. And he says to me, this is the leader of the Pleiadians. He's the leader of like of the whole mission, basically. He's Pleiadian. And so he was like, yeah, that's from your star. Like when I touched it, he's like, yeah, that's from your star. And so you guys got to remember, I wasn't vocal and we didn't communicate in such a way. Even I communicated telepathically to them. They spoke verbally to me, and I would input my thoughts into their minds. So, and just remember, I was very innocent. And so now I'm like, I could have asked a million questions, but at the time, I just wasn't aware the significance of knowing more. And they didn't offer any information unless you ask. And so, anyways, they opened their little doors, and I kind of like floated out and drifted into Earth's atmosphere. And when I did, it pulled me in and then sucked me into this spiritual amnesia duality of separation of incarnating until I ascended. And so I actually had 2 parts of a mission to complete. The first part was to ascend and then choose to come back and then ascend again on a second Earth mission. So I am now on my second Earth mission. I completed a whole first Earth mission. That was thousands of bodies, thousands of lifetimes, different lifetimes of going through spiritual boot camps. Like there, I have like 10 plus different lifetimes where I did spiritual boot camps. Like that was my life, like Buddhas and all of those beings, the Aztecs, all of them that astral projected, and they were preparing for death so that they could ascend the body and the soul. Like it's a whole thing. So I went thousands of lifetimes, and then eventually I was brought into the experience where I did get to ascend. I used the pyramid in Abydos, Egypt. So in that lifetime, I was actually a Buddhist, I believe. We lived in like caves on like mountains. And so I travel. We did, when you're doing these spiritual boot camps, that one specifically, we would do all kinds of things. We'd create artwork and then burn them immediately. It was a way to detach ourselves. We would like create things and then destroy them immediately. We would do near death experiences, but we would have like safety, but we would practice these experiences of, it's like a near death experience. You get that adrenaline rush. It's kind of like bungee jumping or skydiving. It's just like that. And so once you complete your training, you get to be escorted to Egypt. I'm assuming that all of our continents were a lot closer in those days and that they still are. I believe that the government and certain individuals have cut off our connection to traveling quicker to continent, because I traveled on a donkey and it didn't even take that long, probably like a week or so. And we traveled into Africa and we went into Egypt, to Abydos, Egypt specifically. And I had like someone traveling with me. He was walking beside the donkey and I was riding, obviously, because I was like the initiate graduate, basically. And so we went to Abydos, Egypt. We went to the pyramid. We went inside. There was like a hole. I crawled inside. It was really only big enough for one person. And it goes like off deep into the middle. And I went inside the pyramid and I crossed my arms. I laid flat on my back. I crossed my arms and closed my eyes. And the guy I was traveling with was outside the pyramid, like sitting on the stoops where I was. And he had a Tibetan bowl, a singing bowl. And he was just like making it sing. And I started my meditation practice, which we did in our spiritual boot camp. And that's basically where you focus your third eye and all of your intention on the tip of your nose. When you exhale, it's like you're staring at the tip of your nose, and that's how you get your pineal gland to ascend. And so you have to cross your hands too. And you like breathe in and breathe out. You do your breathing exercises. And when that happened, my chakras had lighted up. They ignited. It was like a rainbow from my feet to my head. One color after another, one energy chakra after another. And when my body ascended, my soul was propelled out of this holographic universe. The pyramid was the portal that propelled my soul out of this holographic universe. And I exited the hologram. I was outside the hologram and I stared at it, the projection, which it's the flower of life. When you're looking at it, it's like a moving machine with circles interconnected, and these circles are moving, interconnected and moving, and they're gold circles. And I was out there for a while. I didn't really understand what was going on. and then these three beings. So the hologram is encased within what I call a holding cell. Within this holding cell is our hologram, our projection. There's a door. It's a square door on one of the walls, and these three beings came in. They're shocked to see me. They're like shocked and speechless. And these I call the universal archangel, like the protectors. I believe they're souls who have mastered all the universes, and they just choose to watch over the universes. And so it's a paradox how you're viewing. So when you're outside of the hologram, you see the projection and the circles moving and all of that. But when you're inside, it's all light. And by the way, we're in the very middle center of the hologram. And each circle was like a different creation inside. It was like a different, like, I don't want to say universe, but they were like universes with specific beings. And it's like a world, but we're in the very middle. So let me go back so we don't get sidetracked. So these beings, I was like asking them questions about like, well, how do I instantly manifest? And they're like, well, that's easy. You just say, I have, thank you. And so I was like, okay. And then I was like, hey, do you mind if I join you guys? I don't have anything to do or anywhere to go. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll wait for you. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back into my body and like obviously separate. So I was like, and then I'll come back and meet you. So these people were like waiting on me. They're not people, they're beings. They were waiting on me to come back, but I never did go back, because what happened was when I went back into my body, inside the pyramid, I crawled out of the pyramid. The light outside was super bright, the sun, everything was bright. I like put my hands like in front of my face, and I was like, I had to adjust to the light. But what it was is, it wasn't the sun, it was the fourth dimension, which is very bright. And so I had to adjust my eyes to a new dimension. I'm still on the third dimension with humans and everything, but my consciousness is elevated to the fourth dimension. So I'm actually perceiving both. I'm perceiving the third dimension and the fourth dimension together. And so there's a lot more, but I think I'm gonna close this up because I'm not sure how long I'm willing to sit here. My voice will give out. It's a lot of information, guys. And if you're interested in hearing more, I will let you know that. But I think I'm going to close up here. So I ascended in the pyramid of Abydos, Egypt. And then we're going to stop there. If I pick up again, we'll begin when I exited the pyramid, when I came back into my body, when I left the hologram. And then I'll explain that, and then I can actually explain like a lot more. But I think for now that I'm just going to leave it there, because that's a lot, and I can't expect someone to listen to this like entirely like how I'm explaining it. It's just a lot. So I love you guys. Thank you for coming and listening to me. I wish I could have done this live on my YouTube, but what happened was I went live and I was wearing seductive clothing, and they flagged me for my cleavage showing. That's initially what they first said, but since then, I've gotten a thing saying they think I'm a child and they want me to verify my age, which I'm not. I won't be doing that. And I won't be able to go live or post or anything until I verify my age, which I'm not doing that. That's on my original YouTube, Regina Nicole Smith. I won't be doing that. I don't succumb to terrorists, basically. So I do what I want when I want, and that's not what I'll be doing or what I want to do. So anyways, I love you guys. I will definitely, if you would like to hear more, tell you more. I feel like there's a lot that I could say to help people. But then again, I've already done this and learned my lesson. So I'm not too eager unless I guess people's souls are really aligned. There was some souls aligned, but this matrix has a way to bombard you with negativity and uncertainty, and it encompasses you, and so it can derail you. And that's what was happening for these people. Like, they were being gifted something miraculous, something that humans don't experience. I was gifting them, and it was too much for them to handle. And I can't begin to explain all the trauma I had to go through just from the reactions others um, had, and also the way they treated me. But that never bothered me, because I understood and knew that who I am and what I was saying was like so far, like, you probably couldn't even turn on your most deepest conspiracy sci-fi documentary and it would never compare to me. And so I just understood that it was just, I did take it personally, but I let it go and I moved on. But I could keep going, so I'm just going to stop, because if not, I'll just keep going. But I love you guys, and yeah. May peace be with you.